It's time for Let's Get Real with your host from Bob Richards and Associates, Bob Richards.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Michael. How about yourself?
I'm doing fabulous, thank you. And welcome to your show.
Thank you. Good to be here with you.
That was good to be here.
Me. Yeah.
With all of us, and even with Sean.
Absolutely.
We let Sean out of his box every once in a while.
Every
push
once in a while.
buttons.
Yeah, New Year, you have to
Yeah.
offer a little bit more help.
Did you get him an extra lump of coal
I
and
did.
crust of bread?
I did. Yep. Dropped it off to his wife, and she says, "Oh, that makes number 5." So something went wrong with that coal.
It's a wonder. It's no wonder why he stays with us for all this, because he's treated so well.
Hey, yes, he is. Yes, he is. We appreciate him.
Bob, I understand we have got a great show today all about the luxury real estate market.
We do. Yeah.
So tell me, what qualifies as luxury real estate, especially here in St. George?
Especially here in St. George. It's a relative name. Not like cousins, but it's a relative name that you could find somebody who would be a first-time home buyer, and they walk into a home that they can afford and feel like it's a luxury house. It's $400,000, but for them, their eye and perception and dream is like, this is it. I'm in a palace. This is ultra everything, and yet we consider more of the luxury market of probably the $1 million up market in price. That would be what more people would consider as luxury in today's society.
Okay. So my 4-person Coleman tent with Wi-Fi access would not be considered.
Would not be. That's correct.
I'm glad we established that.
Yes.
I'll have to jump up to the 6-person tent.
If you had streaming going on in that tent, maybe it would.
It might work. So what qualifies? Is anything over $1 million and up, or is it the location, or really what would we consider luxury?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at other states, other communities, other areas, a $500,000 home could be considered a luxury home. Within our area here, again, $1 million or more would really be what you're anticipating a buyer to say, I want to be in the luxury market, at least at $1 million or higher, whatever that price point would be.
So it's basically all relative. The area that I moved from in Orange County, $1 million wouldn't even buy a standard 3-bedroom, 2-bath residential home.
Exactly.
That was kind of like, that's average, if that.
The butler's quarters.
the broom closet. So luxury property down there was anything over like maybe $3 million. And there were some delightful homes on Strands Beach for $35 to $50 million.
Oh, that's not bad.
Let me put my wallet.
Wow, that's a whole nother world.
I left that in the car.
Yeah. We'll get that settledness after the show.
Yeah. So who came up with the word luxury and being identified with real estate?
The only thing that I can think of was George Washington's wife, Martha.
Oh, okay.
Looking back, I maybe the plantation folks and during the Civil War time with 50 acres on this beautiful plantation. I honestly don't know, Michael. I was just guessing. It was kind of a little bit of maybe somebody else has a thought about that they could chime in or something like that. But I do not know.
I think it was Sean's great-grandfather. John, was it? Yeah.
It could have been.
Yeah, I think it was.
Rockefeller, I guess maybe was his last name.
So as a seller, let's say that I own a luxury home. Mm-hmm. What's the benefit to me for owning, let alone selling, just owning a luxury home?
Yeah, let's get real. What a person would be looking like as a seller in a market either here or elsewhere that would be considered a luxury. There's a certain ambiance, panache, prestige, label, if you will, that buyers are like, wow, that's really nice. And really nice, again, is relative, but when you look at bells and whistles, extras, upgrades, benefits, features, you really find a whole different level of home as you get into 7 figures and grow up into that higher 5, 10 million, whatever it might be. So that's where your seller is becoming more of a commodity that's not a track home. It's something custom built just for them, hopefully good for resale, but not something that you're like, oh, yeah, I've been through this before down the street. No, it's always more of an individualized home for people's consideration to buy.
I've seen a few homes, and I've talked to a few people who are looking at like a luxury home. You mentioned like, something custom and something like that. And I've had people tell me, why would I pay $1.5 million for this house when for that much money, I could go out and have it built exactly the way that I want it or as my wife wants it, because I just care about the garage.
Right, exactly.
That way I can have it the way that I want it. So is it more advantageous to buy an existing luxury home, or should I spend my money creating my own luxury home?
Yeah, very relative with that. Again, Michael, what I would suggest for most people is that understanding when you're considering a purchase, your seller probably has a little bit of wiggle room on the price. When you build, that's the price. And so you pay full sticker price, if you will. There's no negotiation. There's no, I'll throw this in, or I'll rebate you X amount at closing. It's the final number. So what varies is the fact of what you just said. Can I find a floor plan that's comfortable for us or me, if it's a bachelor or whatever, that I can buy existing and say, you know what, this works out great. I love this. Or is there plans, architecture, style, colors, finish, just really kind of out there that there's no way they're going to find something that's going to be like that house. So again, with custom homes, they're all individualized. So you don't say, well, again, I like this home, but I like the one 3 doors down. You do find a variance and individuality.
Yeah. I think if you're building a custom home, you may not get the exact location you want with the exact view that you want. Because, when we go on like the parade of homes and we look at all these homes, some beautiful homes, and they're one of a kind, and they're built to the way the builder created them or somebody else built them. But one of the main selling points is like, look at this view. You're not going to get that anywhere else.
You're right.
For the same amount of money. So I think part of the whole luxury lifestyle is the ambiance and the view and all the things that surround it, which is why in a lot of cases it's more advantageous just to buy one that's already existing if you find the location you like, as opposed to just building one and, oh, look, there's a brick wall in front of my master bedroom window.
Right, exactly. And we are so pro-view in southern Utah, and rightfully so. We have some gorgeous landscape, mountains, red rocks, foliage. It's just beautiful. You really get such the rainbow of colors down here that who wouldn't want a view?
Yeah.
It's you don't want to be stuck down in a hole.
I'm actually kind of enjoying my view of the red brick wall.
Oh, are you really? Oh. Have you graffitied it yet, or are you staying away from that?
I'm delegating that
to very good.
To some people that are moving into town.
Yeah, had that sun that was on the corner at some point. Yeah,
that's the one. So, Bob, are there different? I want to say different differentiations. That's redundantly redundant, but in the way that you guys as realtors differentiate yourselves as from a regular realtor versus one that deals with luxury homes and luxury properties and things like that. Or can any realtor just sell this $5 million house?
That's a great question, Michael. I'm glad you brought it up sincerely, because when you look at the 2,000 or so realtors that we have here in southern Utah, not every one of them would know how to handle a upper end seller or buyer. It's a very different dynamic of conversation and interaction and work that you do for them versus somebody that would maybe be a little bit less expensive or a lot less expensive, or a first-time home buyer. You treat that person so differently from somebody that's in that upper end. That upper end person got there for some reason. Now, they had a starter home at one point in time, but they've made it through business or inheritance or I don't know what. But as a result of that, you definitely have to be attuned and very sensitive to certain signals that they will share with you in confidence and require a lot of time before they gain your trust.
Right.
And so you try to do everything that you can, and then a little bit more, and it's not always appreciated. That's a challenge. You don't get necessarily the pat on the back or good job or thank you. It's just, and you roll with it. You just say, you know what? That's just not a personality that is along those lines. Doctors, attorneys, engineers, CPAs, real green personality, if you will, that way. So I suggest that in a realtor, if wanting to get into the luxury type of market, you need to get some training. You need to know what you should say, don't say.
Yeah.
You don't get into their business of what caused them to be successful. You don't necessarily get into family things until later on in the discussion and the relationship. You have to be very specific because they've got limited time. They have a lot of resources, but they don't want to be dragged along. They need to be moving forward, and you need to be ahead of them. So as they catch up to what you have to offer, it's like, how'd you know? This looks really, really good. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more of that. But you waste their time, they're bouncing to somebody else.
Yeah, so they're more of a bottom line decision maker.
Yes.
And not a lot of foo-foo and fluffy stuff.
Right. Right.
And I know as I've seen you work and I've seen your listings that many of them are in the luxury price point range. I know that you do that. If I were looking for a luxury home, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm sure that you would recommend if somebody is looking to buy a luxury home or list a luxury home, they need to find a realtor who's experienced within that market and not somebody who may have a real estate license but specializes in tiny home mobile developments or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It'll make such a difference in that relationship and experience rather than having a buyer walk away frustrated that they can't get the service that they wish to and deserve to have. But all people should get the same service, honestly. I don't care what price range. But yeah, there's some expectations that are there. So the buyer should interview the agent and say, how many homes have you sold over $1 million?
Oh,
where do you typically sell your buyers in communities here in Southern Utah? What's your days on the market as a buyer's agent in getting a certain listing shown? I write up an offer. How soon do I close? There's just a variety of different questions. But if buyers don't ask that agent, then they're stuck with that agent not having a certain niche in that luxury home. And again, that training and education is critical.
So what do sellers and buyers in the luxury home market expect from you as a realtor? And what do they demand of you in order for them to actually say, oh, yeah, Bob Richards, he was great, as opposed to saying, oh, well, he served teeny-weeny beanies at our open house as opposed to lobster bites.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's like, oh, that realtor, what was his name? Rather than Bob Richards.
Right.
And so they forget, they're trying to dismiss the experience and just kind of, well, we did our best, I guess. And that's it. So there's definitely things. Number one, you always have to be available. If that phone rings, you better answer it.
Right.
And if it does go to voicemail, you've got 1 to 2 minutes to get back with that individual. Number two would be your inventory that you have to show them. Well, with number 2 and number 3, it's listen, 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 and then go to number 3 with what inventory matches what they've shared with you. Then you want to obviously set specifics in time that you're going to meet with them, take about X amount of time per home, so they know the structure of, okay, we'll be done by about 1, then we can do this at 1:30 and go shopping at 3, and et cetera. So they're looking for different things that are just very detail-oriented down to the penny based upon their schedule and needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, you actually have to provide good service.
You do.
What a novel concept.
Yeah, with the exception of sleeping outside that front door of their Airbnb, you definitely need to be on top of things, be on your A game.
So what if you got an agent that doesn't really relate to the majority of the luxury home market? Do you still work with them? I mean, maybe they're a newbie or they're not really experienced in that area. How do you work with a real estate agent who's not experienced in the luxury market?
Yeah, I'll answer this, and we can kind of talk about another house that I've got listed for sale. I will oftentimes, when getting involved with the buyer's agent, you can just tell they're wet behind the ears, and just like you say, the newbie, maybe not much broker support. I'll step in and say, hey, can I help you with this without stepping over the line on agency? And most of the times they're like, yes, please. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I'll work with them without challenging my agency with my seller, but help them say, okay, you need to do this. You need to write this here. Make sure you include this in the offer. You'll want to present the offer for your buyers to sign in this way. Here's the certain sections of the purchase contract that are very vital. Here's a couple of things that you may want to just briefly glance over. If you have a buyer that wants to read every single word in the contract, then give them the time to do so and meet up with them later that day or in the morning, whatever time frame would allow for them to read every word in the contract.
Yeah. So communication, cooperation, because you both have the same goal, sell the house.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what percentage of annual sales here in Washington County, which includes St. George, Hurricane, those areas, would you consider to be luxury home sales for like 22 and 23?
Yeah. So for 2022, 37%.
Whoa.
That's huge.
That is huge.
Michael, that's just astronomical for Washington County. Now, in 2023, it dropped a little bit, down to about 32. So 5 points less. Now, again, that was a lot of inventory that, the inventory that we had was subject to higher rates, sevens, high sevens, and then the eights.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just said, you know what, that's going to put a few more hundreds of dollars that I need to pay every month. Probably could do it, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
So they've kind of sat by the sidelines and waited for maybe a change in the rates, which there has been temporarily now, which is nice, but didn't want to get into that game of $7,000-8,000 more a month.
Yeah.
Can't say I'd blame them on that.
Yeah. So what do you think 2024? We're going to go up a little bit?
I think we're going to go up a little bit. Yeah. I'm seeing more subdivisions being approved. I'm seeing more dirt out there being turned and excavated, and new subdivisions, cutting roads and so forth. We've got a lot of land, a lot of lots, and certainly a lot of inventory that will eventually come up. And again, Michael, as we've talked about before, Hurricane's going to explode. It will be the greater population of Washington County. That will be the city. We've mentioned that multiple times, and certainly is going to continue to be be that way as time goes along.
Plus, they got that water park out there. I'm waiting for that thing.
Yeah, Jellystone.
Jellystone.
Absolutely.
So, Bob, I understand you have a lovely example of a luxury home that you have listed. I believe it's on Crestline Circle.
Yeah.
Is that true?
So this is up in St. George. It's up on a large mesa called East Ridge, is the subdivision name. This home has a main level and a basement to it, and a total 180-degree view of Pine Valley, Zion, and to the southeast Washington fields.
Oh, my gosh.
It is phenomenal, daytime and nighttime. As you go through the home, there's again, luxury items that are provided, that just things that you would expect when you walk into a home such as this and in this kind of a price range. Large open kitchen, tile flooring, travertine flooring, granite countertops, high-end appliances. Then you get into the master suite and just say, okay, I could actually do my studies here, sleep in here, do a quilt. I mean, it's big. It's a big, big room. And there's also another bedroom of that same size downstairs. They kind of mirror each other. Here's the master bathroom here. gas fireplace. How many people have a gas fireplace in their master bathroom? But here's what's more important.
Yes.
How many people have the phone next to the potty? And that would be called a landline phone. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
I don't know if that's multitasking or what have it. So here's from the main deck, looking out to the view. That's up towards Pine Valley, towards the north. And again, how can you beat that? There's nobody building behind you because it slopes off substantially. And this is a large home theater room. Now, you see a lot of photography things there, and the owner has been a photographer, an editor, and film producer. So this has been kind of an off-site location for him to do things. And, of course, he's passed away, unfortunately, but his wife is continuing to sell the house. They actually have, with that basement, it's approved for a vacation rental. So you've got a couple bedrooms, bathroom, its own kitchen, its own gathering room. So that could be a little income generator for people. If they didn't have anybody for the basement, they could rent it out and make a few coin. Price on that one is $1.475, and so that's our asking price on that one right now. Again, gorgeous views that you just can't beat. It's located up behind the factory stores, is where East Ridge subdivision is.
Oh, yeah.
So just kind of I'm on that mesa. I think people would understand where that is when you say factory stores.
Beautiful home and an amazing view. 1.475 is the price on that. So, Bob, tell me, if I wanted to buy that home, how would I contact you and say, Bob, I want to buy this home?
Super easy. First phone number is 435-703-8824. That comes out to be 435-703 Utah. Bob at buyutah.com is my email address. Buyutah.com is my website address. And honestly, best to reach me on my phone, 435-703-8824. Leave a message, shoot me a text. If I'm with somebody, such as with you right now, can't really access my phone and talk to anybody, but I will definitely do so after I'm done with the appointment. But I will not interfere or intrude on the time that I have with my client to say, oh, I got to call somebody real quick. I got to take this call. That's rude. And so I'll certainly get back with people immediately after
That's great.
I met with people. Yeah.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for joining us today on your show. Let's Get Real. Bob Richards, buyutah.com, your local Berkshire Hathaway real estate guy right here.
Right here.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks.
This has been Let's Get Real with Bob Richards from Bob Richards and Associates. For more information, buyutah.com. We invite you to return again for another edition of Let's Get Real with Bob Richards from Bob Richards and Associates. This has been a production of One to One Network.